And we are live. So hello and welcome everyone to yet another video from Board Infinity. Today we are joined with our coach Abhishek, who is going to tell you how to make amazing projects for your upcoming full stack interviews, right? So students, market nowadays, it is filled with cutthroat competition. And what stands you apart is the kind of projects that you work upon. So to enlighten you with that, we have Abhishek. He is a graduate from SRM University and currently he is working with Microsoft. With that being said, Abhishek, thanks a lot for joining us, and you can take over the session.
Hey guys, good evening to all of you. So let me come to your chat and let's see how you are doing and let's get started with that. Awesome. So let me introduce myself and from here we can take on it. Okay, so as you know, my name is Abhishek. I currently work as a full stack developer in Microsoft. And these are some of the technologies that I generally work with. Monstack, Python Django, DSA, and some other DevOps related tools. Apart from these, there are a few other things that I generally like apart from development. Is one of them is teaching. Some basic things like technical blocks and other things. Okay. So now let's get started. Okay. So guys, now the biggest challenge that comes to us, like let's suppose I tried to learn HTML and I have learned HTML. Okay, step number one, the problem is where should I learn from? Step number two, now I have gone through basic commands of HTML. I have learned the tags. Okay, what should I do now? I don't know. You may see someone like, let's clone Facebook, let's clone YouTube. But even if I see you, let's clone Facebook, how should I start cloning it? Like, it's not a simple website that you can, okay, this looks Facebook, let's start doing it. It's not, it cannot be easily done, right? Okay, so let's see how can we do it, where can we study it, what to do, what not to do, all that we will discuss. Okay, so let me share my screen. Give me a second. So I'll be sharing my screen. Okay. And I'll be placing a chat here so that I can see your chats as you reply. Okay, great. Awesome. So this is great. Now let me share my screen. So you'll be able to see my screen now. Great. So now I guess you'll be able to see my screen. Awesome. Great, guys. Awesome. So welcome to this amazing resource on Monstack. Okay, powered by Board Infinity. So let's start with this HTML and CSS. Where to study HTML and CSS? How to study it? Like if you have ever like all of you, I think you are aware about one resource, W3 School. So if I show you W3 School, just let me show you up. So whatever I do, I'll show you directly. And I'll show you the challenges that we face while learning and how to overcome over those challenges, like W3 School. Now, this is a pretty much standard website that all of us knows. If you don't know it, this is a great resource for you for HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, of course, there are a lot of other languages, but again, we know like a single website cannot be a hub for everything, right? For everything, we have different possibilities. So if you are a little bit aware about HTML, you know number of tags HTML have. This many tags, and this is just the page one. It have a next page, and all the tags are not listed here. Okay, so now we'll be like, okay, so what to do? Should I study all the tags? This is what you need to find out. We don't study things like the way we used to study in our like 11th and 12th or starting of engineering. We don't mug up things. The best way to learn the things is to pick a small project. Now, I'll come to the way how to pick a small project. So pick a small project, through dot project, learn the things. So you'll say, okay, I can get your point. The only problem that I face, like when I take a project, I'm totally blank. How to go from that step, I have no idea. So that is why I take a very small project. Okay, like let's suppose I'll tell you an example of a very small project. Okay. This is a simple website of Google. Can you make this website? I bet. Many of you cannot. Many of you can. It's a very simple for those who know it. So there is an image, Google logo, right? This is an input box. Okay, forget about this, but this is an icon, though it does not, you cannot put a functionality there, but you can at least place that icon, right? There are two buttons, okay, and some more things like in the English, the languages, and some more options here and there. It's a very much simple website. Through this website, what will I learn? I'll learn, okay, what is input box, how input box works. Okay, let's suppose you have made this website. Now I'll be like, okay, I have made this website. So what shall I do now? Check out how they made the website, Google. So you can always go to inspect element and check out how they have made how their input thing is there. Of course, they will have a lot of things because they have a lot of purpose, but you'll get an idea. Like for this button, you'll get a better idea. Like we could have used a button tag, but they have used the input instead of a button. So you can get an idea, okay, or this is how they have coded it. So this is the way how we should start. We should not start in a very typical way, learn what is heading tag. Oh, this is paragraph tag, great. If you proceed like this, there's no end to HTML. There's no end to CSS. And you'll be like totally like bored with a lot of things. You will, after the HTML has ended, you will still not know what to do, what not to do. If you take an approach, which is a project-based approach, it's much fun to do. Okay, so the next question is, okay, so I got the point. We can take simple snippet from different website and we can try to practice this. Correct, got the point. But what all things should I study in HTML and CSS? Do we have some plan for that? I'll say very much yes. The step number one, just go and don't study HTML blindly, or just don't study CSS blindly. Whenever you study HTML and CSS, study it combinedly. What do I mean by that? Let's suppose you are studying heading, okay? So also go to CSS, see in the headings what things are there. Just a second. Sorry. Okay. So let's have a look. So you will be able to see like the same things that is present in HTML is also present here. So whenever you are studying HTML, study it in combined with CSS. Step number one. Okay, what all things I should study in HTML? Of course, go through the basics of W3 School. Step number one. Study forms. Okay. And wait for other things. Don't study the other things. If you need them, then you study it. And how should you study them? Just practice it once. Like the examples given, for examples, like let's suppose I'll open a simple things that all of you know it. Like for example, tables. Practice few example of tables that is given by W3 School. And that's enough. Nothing more. Like they have given a lot of tables, lot of topics in table. Try to practice the way they have made it. So after you have practiced few things, like you don't need any other example to practice it. They have given you sufficient examples so that you can practice it. Okay. The next thing that you should is to look for projects. Okay. So since you have learned this much HTML, you should study like tables. Then you should study the table CSS at the same time. Okay. Both should be at the same time. So you will know how to write an element and how to place CSS on the particular HTML. Once you have done that, okay. So you'll say, okay, great. But in CSS also, I see a lot of things. What should I do? So I'll say, go through the basic thing. Basic things means this first part completely. And then, of course, there are a lot of things in CSS, but there are a few things that we should need to know. Step number one, how does positions work in CSS? How does, flex work in CSS? How does grid work in CSS? These three are the very fundamental things that you'll be using. And to practice them, there's a very great resource here. That is CSS templates. Now the problem is, like when you get a same template, you should be able to make the template with all the three type of CSS: positions, flex layout, and grid layout. If you're able to do it, it's awesome. So all the three types. So you will have a 4 example. If you try it, of course, your basics are quite clear. Now it's come to our projects. What all projects that we can do in HTML and CSS? So see, since you have currently learned HTML and CSS, of course, you have tried few of the samples that I told you, like you went to Google, copied a small part of Google, you went to Facebook, copied, let's suppose, a small part of Facebook design, but you will realize there are a lot of things are not working. You are not able to implement a lot of things. Definitely because you don't know JavaScript at this point. But still, give it a try. Try to implement small things. Some of the common project that you guys can try is like, what do you say? like a portfolio website. It's a very simple website. You can give it a try. Where should you get inspired from? This is the place. These are the things. Like I like this website a lot. Freelancer one template. Okay. Not this, not especially this template. I just remember this website with the help of this template. So, okay, guys. So when you go to this template, this template is of course in combination with HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap? Nothing else, but just like what a resource that can make you write less of your CSS. Okay, more of the CSS is already written. You can just import it and directly use it. Okay, so you can get inspired from a lot of templates here. Okay, so all these templates that you can see are made with HTML and CSS. Okay, some Bootstrap is basically CSS. So gets inspired by a lot of templates, try to clone it. Okay, now you'll say, okay, I made it. Like don't make all the templates. Take few templates, totally different type. For example, I'll show you. Let's suppose you have made like admin kind of templates. It's awesome. Leave the other admins. Go to some other template like Freelancer. Go to some other templates like SBUI Kit Pro, depending on the thing. So you'll have a different idea how to make different kind of templates. Great. But this is just for practice. Still, you have not made the project. Okay. Why I'm saying that? I'll tell you. So now let's go to a very big website. Let's suppose now choose any website, Facebook, Amazon, Google, whichever you want to choose it. Let's take an example of Facebook. Okay. So now go and choose Facebook. Try to make the things with HTML and CSS. Okay. And take this project as your final project for HTML and CSS. These things are just for your learning. Why I'm telling so? Because I'll come to that fact. Let's keep that fact at the side. Let's go to the next topic. Which topic should I go next? Of course, you will say like CSS has a lot of frameworks like what do you say, Bootstrap or Tailwind CSS. Go for it, whichever you want to choose. So, but the idea is it's a CSS. Now you can use a lot of things to make your CSS easier. That's totally up to you. When I come to next part, that is JavaScript. Okay. What should I do with JavaScript? So JavaScript is basically, I'll say, divided into two parts. Step number one is the JavaScript coding fundamentals. Step number two is the JavaScript, which you basically write in combination with HTML and CSS. Okay, you're like, okay, so what should I do in coding fundamentals? In coding fundamentals, you basically have to practice how does if else work, how does loop works, how does string works, how does array works, how does function works, has map work, sets, like classes, objects, so many other things are there. Okay, so now how will you practice these things? These things are not like I saw the syntax of if else, it's over. No, it never works like that. These topics are a very much practical topic. Until you practice 10 to 20 questions per topic, it's totally useless. Like if you learn if else for the first time, like if you are already coming in JavaScript from some other language background and you already know that language very well, it's totally optional. Then you can just go to the syntax and do 1 or 2 questions. It's totally okay. But if your JavaScript is your first programming language, HTML and CSS are more a scripting language, not a real programming language. Okay. So if JavaScript is your first programming language, make it sure, guys, you have to practice. Like if else, practice 10 to 15 questions. Like loops, practice 10 to 15 questions. So like how will you get these questions from? Where will you get these questions from? So see, to be honest, there is not one fixed resource where you can, like, there are a lot of questions you can get, but they are not in proper order. Okay, so but a Google search can give you a lot. It may not be in like JavaScript. People may have written a question for C, but that is same implemented for JavaScript also. Like, for example, if else questions in JavaScript. You don't search it with JavaScript, you may not get it, or you sometime you may get it. Just write if else. Okay, there will be a lot of place like C, C++, Java, okay, Python, something. So most of them it will be same. Okay, with few changes here and there. So this way you can practice something. So these are again some of the things for practice. Okay, so these questions doesn't matter. Okay, it for all the language it will work in the same way. Okay, so you just need to get some questions. Okay, so you'll say, okay, let's suppose I practiced about, so how much questions should I practice? I'll say I practice around 200 questions in JavaScript total. If you are learning JavaScript for the first time. And these are basic level questions, very basics. And if you really want to practice it more in like a proper coding kind of environment, you can have Gigs for geese. Practice. So they have practice.geeksforgeese.org. Okay, this is a very, like, what do you say, a kind of a totally free website. Of course, they have some paid courses, but I think the free thing is enough. Okay, and then, like, let's suppose, okay, they have changed the website a little, but okay. So go to problems, and now see, there will be some difficulty option. In the difficulty, go with, if you're learning for the very first time, go with the basic level. The school level will be a little more easy. Okay, try the basic levels. If basic levels are hard for you, then try the school level. Okay. Okay, and then you'll be like, okay, so then like school levels are very elementary, like you are learning coding for the very first time. Okay, and then don't select company tags or something. Okay, go with the school level, try some of the questions. Okay, it will, like, you have the, like, arrays, you have like recursion, number theory. So whichever topic you are learning, according to that topic, you can solve some of the questions. So these questions will automatically be checked. If you are correct or wrong, they will directly tell you after submitting the solutions. So this is great for a beginner. Okay, so you'll say, okay, after that, what to do? After that, like, okay, like you will be coming to a very important topic like JavaScript ES6 features, one of the most trendy topic, and you cannot do a lot of things without that topic. So now this is not an option. This is the only website. Like there can be a lot, but out of them, like this is one, not one of the best website directly, and that is present in the market currently. That is JavaScript info. Anything related to JavaScript, that is present here, and the resources are very much correct, and like it's written in such a way that you can easily understand it. Okay, they have also updated design recently, like 3-4 days ago. Earlier the design, I like their earlier design. Okay, so you have three portions: JavaScript as a language, the first part of the JavaScript, the second part of the JavaScript, third part, it will come to that, what are they? So the first part of JavaScript. So you can study each and everything here. It includes all the ES6 plus your basic, like if else and all that. If you see, it's present here somewhere. Okay, so of course they have explained it, but you don't have a lot of practice problem here. Okay, so you can read it from here. Okay, but I'll say practice more, and then you can finally come to, like, what is it, ES6 features. And these are some of the ES6 features if you check out, but like, you can check out the context, what all things comes in the ES6 features from anywhere. Okay, but study from this website only. Okay, JavaScript info. Okay, great. And now you'll say, okay, great. Now what is next to JavaScript? So you have not completed JavaScript. There's just like these things you learned in JavaScript, so that you can apply these things and work on a lot of other things. Like you can use JavaScript with HTML, CSS together, or you can use JavaScript with React, or you can use JavaScript with Node. Okay, so these were the things you were just practicing, so that now you can make some good projects with JavaScript. Okay, so you'll say, till this point, can't I work on project? Yes, you can work on some OOPS related project. Okay, like you may have heard, like let's make a library management system, or let's make a Uber application using OOPS. Let's make a bus booking system using OOPS. These kind of projects you can work on. Great. Okay. Now we come to JavaScript DOM. Now this is a place where your project and game starts from. Like too many projects, too many places where you can explore it. So JavaScript DOM, if you don't know, it's a way which provides you a facility to use JavaScript along with HTML and CSS, so that your website is very interactive. Okay. So now, step number one, how to learn it. So don't learn JavaScript.DOM with, like, okay, there are a lot of functions like HTML. Again, you have to learn it with the help of projects. So there are a number of ways that you can do so. So let's have a look how to do so. Step number one, since there are a lot of commands, so this is the perfect way to follow it. 50 projects in 50 days. Okay, GitHub. So this is a repo in which, like, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, like, let's suppose when you are making a website, you will need small components. Like you may need to design a menu, or you may need to design a, like, what is a cards, or you may need to design a footer, or there are a lot of sections. So this person has broken it into several sections, right? You can see. So they have made a small 50 projects, breaking up into number of sections. So once you try these sections, you'll be very clear with the fundamentals of JavaScript DOM, and then you'll be able to apply it very easily in real projects. Step number 1 is this. Okay, so do give it a try. I'll not say do all the project, though it will not take much time. Like you can complete these projects like within a week or 2, but okay, but try as many as you can. Okay, like you don't need any other resource to practice. Like these are enough. Every project have a live demo also. You can see there are total, I guess, exactly 50 projects. Okay, awesome. So now, like, okay, so in a JavaScript DOM, basically, you also have to read a number of resources. Like in just learning from one resource is not enough. You have to see a number of resources, learn a number of resources from a lot of places. Then only things will be very much clear. Okay, so there are a few YouTube channels that I follow for JavaScript, which is quite good. If you want to check it out. 1 second. So let it open. So you can JavaScript web dev. Not web dev. Web dev is like the very great website that I personally like it and recommend it. This guy really explains the thing very nicely. And but he is not from India. So if you don't want people like sometimes we like
today
people,
we're going to build your very first REST API.
So sometimes we like people who are like from India or because of the tone they speak, right? That help us to understand much better. If that is not the problem, you follow this person. He is really great. If in that case that is a problem, hey Mohammed, how are you? If that is a problem, or even if that is not the problem, some portion he has not covered it, and that we'll see here. I'm good, Mohammed. How are you doing? So that is like JavaScript. Okay. Since I don't remember his name, so I'll just search. He has a very famous video how JavaScript works. And yes, here's the guy, Akshay Singh. Let me stop it, or he will also start me. These two websites you follow, I don't think you need any other resource to practice JavaScript. Okay, this is like you have a plenty of resource, like making 50 projects in JavaScript, following these two channels which have enough videos on JavaScript, studying javascript.info, like literally a lot of resource. And how much time that you should give? So I'll say give around 2 to 3 weeks. Hi Praneeth, how are you? Give around 2 to 3 weeks for HTML and CSS, okay? And around, if you're learning for the first time, around 1 month to 1.5 months for JavaScript, okay? 1 month you will say just for JavaScript fundamentals, that coding part, and half a month for JavaScript DOM, the second part of JavaScript. HTML, CSS, React enough to get a job in Frontend? I'm coming to answers. Okay, and okay, give me a few minutes. Let me complete this part, then I'll come back. Okay, so this is done. Great, awesome. So this was about your JavaScript fundamentals. After the JavaScript, okay, once you have learned these concepts, remember I told you to keep your Facebook project aside, right? The things that you made with HTML and CSS. Now, whatever things you have learned, apply in that project. The project that you have already done with HTML and CSS. Okay, and you will see a lot of things you're able to do very easily, for which you have to write a lot of HTML and CSS. Because of JavaScript things, and your website now has a livelihood, like it can interact with you, those things that were totally missing. Okay, so those things will be like an add-on there. Awesome. So I'll say, of course, let's practice with a lot of projects, but let's take one project, and as we learn multiple things, let's add more and more features to that project. This way you will learn much more. Okay, awesome. Yeah, Mohammed. So is HTML, CSS, React enough to get a job as a front-end? Of course, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, definitely. It's much more than enough to get a job. Even with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can get a good paying job. If you learn React, you have a very good market for a job. Okay. So now I'll be like, okay, what's next? After I have learned JavaScript and all, what should I do next? Okay. So after you have learned JavaScript, now you have like 2 ways. Either you can go and become a more good like advanced front-end developer by learning React, or you can go in the backend development side and like learn Node.js and become a backend developer, or you can learn both and become a full stack developer, provided you learn one more thing, that is a little bit of deployment. Then you will be like totally in the full stack development part. Okay, I'll be like, great. Okay, so let's discuss about them, how to study and where to study. So let's start with React. Since you guys are doing a lot of design kind of work with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so React will look like very much familiar. Okay. So now you'll have a first question. Why does I need React? HTML, CSS, JavaScript is enough. I can make websites. But there are some challenges. There are some like you have to code, write multiple things. Okay. What is different between JavaScript and React? Are they similar? Okay, that is what I'm coming to, Mohammed. Great. No, JavaScript and React are not similar. Okay. In other ways, React is made from JavaScript to make your web development skill much like when you are coding, like what will happen? There will be a certain number of things which you have to write it every time. Okay, even though that is not a part of your projects. Okay, so these many things, literally there are a lot of such kind of things. Okay, so what happened? These library and frameworks comes. Okay, it already have a pre-written code, like a lot of code are already written. Instead of writing all those code on your own, let's use that code and let's just focus on the product side. Whatever we are going to make, we'll write only that piece of code. Other things can be taken care by, the framework or the library itself. Okay, that's the advantage of this. Also, these library and frameworks provides a better way of debugging. If we have errors, we can sort it out very easily. Also, they are much more facility. So I'm not going in very deep, but yeah. So now it'll be like where to learn React. So guys, I researched a lot about React, where to study, where not to study. I found out only one resource that was like, out of all the resource, there's only one resource that like I really enjoyed watching it. Okay, and that resource was basically, of course, from YouTube. No, not like this guy. Like I bet you will never find a better tutorial than this guy. Okay, of course, this guy has not implemented a lot of projects, but the way he has taught you, the way he has explained the things, he has not missed out any concepts. Of course, he has a lot of playlists. I don't say his other playlists are good or bad, but his React playlist is one of the best. Okay. So like he has several, like I think 5 to 6 playlists on React, and not too great. Like I think around he have 30 hours content on React. Okay, that is much more than enough React content you will ever get. Okay, as a beginner. Even like if you are not even you are an intermediate coder on React, this tutorial can take you a step ahead. Okay, it will not make you a very advanced coder of React, because advanced coding, there is no like a course in the market which can make you advanced coder. Advanced coder you basically become by more and more practice. Okay. So this website is React Code Evaluation. Okay, just give it a Google like Chrome, YouTube search and you'll get it. Code Evaluation. Great, awesome. Totally free, of course. Okay. So now I'll say, okay, this is a point I learned. Okay, code evaluation. Okay, but where to like? Of course, you told that this course is more about like teaching the concept. So now how to practice more and more projects in React? React is more kind of a practice. So this is the way I recommend. So whatever things that you have already made with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, pick few templates among them. Try to convert those templates to React templates. Okay. See what are the changes. This is very necessary if you really want to understand the difference between coding with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and HTML and directly coding with React. Okay, there are a few differences which you can only figure it out if you do the same thing here and there. So don't code from the start. Okay, you already like, let's take an example of Facebook. So we have already implemented Facebook. Just change it according to the React principles. Okay, and you'll realize, okay, now the working is much more fun here. Okay, this is the way you should start. Okay, now say what all other thing you can do. Of course, for small concept, this website, this thing has already implemented small project like to do application, counter application. You can say like theme switcher, like black mode, white mode. These kind of small projects are there. Okay, but there are some good projects that I recommend you basically doing with this that will really help you. Okay, So don't buy this course. Totally not recommended, but this course gives you a lot of idea. React projects. One second. So I'm doing a live search so you can see it. No, not this guy. This is the one. Okay. Now you don't need to buy his course, because the reason is, if you see how he is doing, then you implement it on your own, then you implement it, it will not help a lot. Okay. Just see his code. Okay. Like, okay, you are food ordering web application. Okay. And of course, he has written the steps, like steps are here, right? He has a React router and other things. Okay. Now just try to research, because he has given you a design, like you can preview it from here. Okay. That's enough. So that's very much enough.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the video. So
how the website looks, he will explain in the first video what all he has used, and that's pretty much enough. Don't, like, I don't say his course is bad, but like, if you do a project on your own, by your own research, okay, that is a thing that actually company looks for, rather than, like, if you are following this video, you will be going in his way, like how he is doing the things, right? And you will lack that skill, research and do the things. And when you work in a company, when you get a real-time project, that project will not be exactly implemented on YouTube or on some website. You have to research on your own and do it. And that is the place where you'll get a problem. Of course, initially few projects you will have a problem. While researching, it will take a little more time, but slowly, what will happen? After a few projects, you'll be like, okay, now it's quite easy for me. And this is the way you should follow. What happened? I got invisible. That's really great. Just give me a second. Let me become visible, guys. Okay. How did I got invisible? Okay. Let me give it a try. Let me become visible. Okay. Now I guess I am visible totally. I'll soon be visible to you also. Currently, I'm visible to myself. Okay. So.
No, sir, you are not visible yet. Yeah, now you're visible.
So now, guys, I'm visible to all of you, I guess. Okay. So this website has a lot of React projects. Follow it like that. Instead of going through his piece of code, okay, just see the project idea, see how the project is coded, and try on your own. Of course, this project will be freely available on YouTube. Like whenever you search a project, Google keep load. A lot of people on YouTube has already made it. But again, it's not the point to see other code. Okay. The point is just to understand what are the project's features and research it and try to implement on its own. Okay. So you'll say, okay, so after doing React, I'll be a front-end developer, right? I'll say yes. So do you have some tips for interview? Yep. There are two resources that I'll share you, and I don't think you will need anything else apart from that in respect to interview in React and JavaScript. JavaScript. GitHub. Okay, why did, okay, I think it's because I am not on Google Chrome. Just a second, let me open it. New window. That's basically saved in my browser history. JavaScript, I got it right. Okay, now this is a really big resource, like very, very big resource, to be honest. Of course, there are some ads on the top. He is suggesting some courses, neglect that. Okay. So he has list out a lot of questions, not he, like of course a lot of person, but it is a one particular repo. Okay? So you will see a lot of, you will just see, okay, we are on, so this resource, if you convert it to PDF, it will be around 1200 fields, 1200 pages. Okay. So the point is, of course, you don't have to study all, because a lot of things you'll already be knowing. Like there are a lot of questions, you have to go through questions. Since once you have learned it, okay, let's suppose I already know what is hosting. hosting. Okay, once you know hosting, you don't need to look at it. Let's for what are closures. If you don't know closures, have a look at it. What are closures? He has explained you also a lot. If you have not understood the explanation, just give it a Google search. What is closures? Give it a YouTube search. What is closures? And this way you can study. Okay, so this has a like what is a best collection for all the questions that you interview questions that you can imagine. Around 1200 questions are there. 1000 interview questions. Okay, like JavaScript, it has also a source for React. So React.js, same kind of things. Okay, so both the things are there. This will totally sort out your interview XP, like what's the interview coding question, what can be asked. Okay, but yeah, sometime in interview, generally you'll say like this will be your one round of interview. Other round of interview, they will mostly focus on like what do you say, the like your practical skills. That they may give you a small template to make. That is why I told you to try 30 templates, because the interviewer, that the template that they will give you, it may not be available on internet. So if you have a habit of practicing researching on internet, then you can do it. You'll say, is researching on internet allowed? Yes. Like it's not called cheating. Researching, like if you get a JavaScript or Node.js template, without internet you cannot work. Okay, because I told you not to mug up things. Okay, great. I'll say, okay, I got the point. Now what's next? Okay, so this is not a compulsory skill, but you can give it a try. Okay, like what do you say? I'll say Firebase. If you just want to be in the front-end development domain, don't want to go in the back-end development domain, give it a try to a Firebase. Okay, I'm not going very deep in Firebase, but you can explore it. Okay, if you need a lot of resource for APIs for practicing, like what do you say, React.js, you can try this Rapid APIs. Okay, there are a lot of APIs. You can just use these APIs and access it. Okay, so now like this website has thousands and thousands of APIs related to everything, whether you say face recognition, code compilation, each and everything is there. Just give it a Google search and you'll get it. Okay, rapidapi.com, and you can practice it. Question link in the comment. Okay, I think we will have all the things in the course description. I will put it at the end. Will that be okay? But if you need that link, I'll just put it in your chat. Or did I remove it? No. I'll just give a link to his GitHub. Okay, then you can. Okay, awesome. Great, guys. Okay, now let's come to the next part of things, backend development. So what should I do for backend development? Of course, there are some other things are prerequisite for that. This is like not prerequisite, you have to learn it basically. Like, of course, you have to learn databases like SQL or MongoDB. You have to go any one way or both the way. So I'll first recommend learning the SQL way, then learning the MongoDB way. Like SQL way is like you understand it better very easily. Okay, then learning, but implementation wise, MongoDB is the easiest. Okay, so like there's something called feeling, right? When you study, like I feel this, right? That you can see in the SQL way. But anyway, learn both the things, and then you will be going to Node.js where you have to do a number of things. Okay, so now is the thing. So now we have worked on a lot of things. So like we have worked on, let's suppose, a Facebook website. Okay, we have worked on so many templates that I showed you. In Node.js, okay, great. If you give me all the links or resource, okay, sure. Give me a few minutes. Just let me complete Node.js, then we can discuss. Yeah, Ayush, can we put all these links in the description, or should I just paste it here, because this chat will go away? What do you recommend? Okay, let's continue then. Of course, I'll put all the links here also, and also in the description. Okay, good. And now the next thing is like how to learn Node.js and how to practice it. Of course, learning Node.js, you can, literally there are a lot of good resources. I'm not find out any particular resource for learning Node.js. There are a lot of resources. So I'll just focus on how should you practice Node.js. Okay. The step number one, we have already done a lot of templates, either in React or in JavaScript DOM or in like what they say. Basically, you can say HTML, CSS. Now, don't go for anything new. Whatever things that you have already done it, try to write a backend logic for them. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, or if you don't want to go that way, Yep. Or if you don't want to go that way, it's very simple. Just do a simple thing. Take any website, okay, and try to write the backend code and the front end code. You'll say, what are projects would I generally do? Okay, so there are 3 projects that I recommend you so that you can cover almost all the concept, basic to intermediate level of concept in Node.js. E-commerce website like Amazon or Flipkart. Number 2, LMS, okay, learning management system, in which we can have a courses kind of things, in which you can have like, what do you say, compilers, embedded compilers, and all those sort kind of like course website you may have seen. So LMS. Number 3, I'll recommend you to make a social media website like Facebook, Twitter, whichever. Since you will continue with Facebook, so go with Facebook, or whichever website you will continue with. So if you practice these 3 kind of things, it's perfect. Awesome. So I'll share you a few of the resources. Okay, so 1 second. This is for practicing. Wait. And this is like for getting inspired for a number of things for HTML and CSS. And what happened? That's all? No, there is much more. Okay. This is that Udemy one, but don't buy the course. Just try to, if you buy the code, the point is lost. Then you could have easily done this on YouTube itself. This is the code evaluation one. This is the JavaScript one, web dev simplified. Let me stop this. And then you have JavaScript. One more, no? I think this is here. Yep. This is
JavaScript is the most.
awesome. These are some of the resources that I shared it. Awesome, guys. Okay. So do you have some questions for me? I'm very happy to answer it. Any questions? Anything? Let me know. I'm here for only for your questions. Great. I think that's all. You have the link, you have the projects now. Now you just have to start practicing. Okay. We need to have that motivation thing, so which can help you to practice it. Usually we lack that, and that is why we need some mentors like Board Infinity, right? Which can help you to get that thing going from the start. You will have a proper guidance. Like usually the problem with these projects now, like if you get a like, what do you say, doubt, okay, sometimes it's very difficult to find a quick solution for a doubt. At that position you need someone who can really guide you from the start to it, where exactly these kind of sessions come into. Okay, I did not get you, shop that one. Not get sir in comment section. I sent you all the links, right? Also, these links I'll put it in the description section. Okay, okay, no worries. These links will also be in the description section, so you can take it from there after the video. I just sent it above in the above chat with the name Abhishek. Have a look. Yeah, a lot of links with the name Abhishek. Can you have a look? Can't you? Is it blocked or something? Okay, so now let me tell you about the Board Infinity. How does the course go here? So here we have both the options of the live course and like, what do you say, a self-paced course with the help of mentor. So what will happen? Like there will be some mentor who will be really like guiding you throughout the period of 5 to 6 months. Okay, and like he'll be teaching you each and every topic. Along with that, he will have, like, the mentors are usually from a very top colleges or from top institutes, and they will be working on like they'll be giving you good assignments to work on in a very proper and well like structured manner, which you can easily do it, easily discuss the doubt. You will have a very good option to discuss one-to-one doubt, or you can have a group doubt session. Each and everything is there. So they will offer you a lot of courses on full stack development, data structures, data science, and each and everything. Not only that, at the end of the course, you will also have an option for a placement from you. Okay, they give you 100% placement assistance. Okay. That's great, guys. Okay, so you do not get that link. Okay, so Ayush, can you see the links in the chat that I have sent?
So no worries, we will share that in the description section and the comment section as well. So students, you need not to worry about the links as well. And with that said, thanks a lot, Abhishek sir, for joining us. I hope it was a great session for the students and the people who are going to watch it in future as well. It is going to be adding a great value to them for their full stack careers. So, sir, any parting message that you would like to give to our students, that will be great.
So I'll just say one thing, guys, like the only one thing that you need to study, that you don't need to stop, right? If you have started, continue with that thing, right? Like what basically happens, I learned JavaScript, then I get paused for like 15-20 days. And what will be the problem? After 15-20 days, you'll come back and you're like, okay, I don't remember anything. So even a small push is there, but give a continuous push and you'll really succeed. And I think around 5 to 6 months is enough for being a full stack developer and getting a job in full stack developer. That's all.
All right. Okay, students. So we hope you enjoyed the session. Once again, thanks to Abhishek for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.